Okay, bingo time! Sorry, I was on vacation on Mallorca over the past 2 weeks, but I did manage to find the one and only store they have on the entire island that sells video games and got me some Fire and Ice. So I made predictions for this game's story over a year ago, so let's see if I either got them right or wrong, and when I got them wrong, if that's because I overshot them, as in I expected too much, or undershot them, as in I underestimated them. But before we go to the results, I'll better do a straight review first, before I go into spoilers, my general opinion. So, straight up, its predecessor, Sonic Shattered Crystals. I absolutely hate that game, one of the most boring games in the Sonic universe, so I had very little hope for this one, but this one is actually pretty decent. I really like playing this one. Well, you can approach it from different angles. As a sequel to Shattered Crystal, this game is a miracle and a huge improvement on every level. Well, except graphics and music, that's about the same level, but those were okay in Shattered Crystal, so whatever. Taken as an isolated individual game on its own right, it's alright. Pretty easy and short, but a fun ride. That is, if challenge isn't what you consider to be fun in games. Some people do, I don't particularly. It's a harmless game for the kiddies. As a Sonic game, putting it among the giants, it's alright, not really what I want out of a Sonic game, especially at this point. I'm really starting for a big high-adventure action game. But if we take this game as the last one of the comedic, light-hearted games before Project 2017 will start kicking ass again, I suppose I could say with this game and Sonic Mania that the light-hearted era goes out on a high note. This is the most platform-heavy Sonic game I've played that I felt still had the pace and rhythm of an actual Sonic game, way more than Sonic Colors did. I would say if you take Sonic Rush Adventure but diminish the adrenaline and powder music, and then add a little 2D Rayman into it but vastly diminish the difficulty level and wackiness, this game would be in that ballpark. Story is also Ponta's best effort yet. They got a better grasp on the characters. Story has a lot more flow, and while I still don't like their general sense of humor, they did manage to put in a few jokes that actually did make me chuckle, which never happened before in their previous games. So hey, improvements all around. My final verdict would be, if you don't mind an easier Sonic game, it's a fun and straightforward platform-heavy installment, bit anticlimactic, but a fun time killer. Hopefully ending the low ambition, lighthearted era on a high note. Now let's get some big high adventure, adrenaline-pumping adventures ready, because as fun as a simple platformer can be, I didn't become a Sonic fan because it's a fun platformer, I played them because they're big, epic, exciting games. At least they used to be, but whatever. That was my spoiler-free review. Now to dive in a little deeper into the details. Spoiler alert! This is Sonic Dissected, not Sonic scratching the surface, after all. In terms of gameplay, things I particularly liked. The Fire and Ice switching, when you get used to it, it's very thrilling to see obstacles coming in advance and switching to the right power and moving on without a beat. It's particularly this that brings the Sonic energy to this game that Shattered Crystals didn't have. It's just very satisfying to navigate through puzzly obstacles without missing a beat and doing it at all in one smooth movement. If we're gonna have to have puzzles in a Sonic game, this is the way to do it. It's kind of like the switching blocks on and off in Colors, except way more natural and without the irritating transformation beats. And within much more exciting set pieces, so a more exciting and less irritating Sonic Colors. Character switching is also a lot better. In Shattered Crystal, it just felt like a stupid pointless game of Simon Says, where the game constantly interrupts itself so you have to select a different character, overcome a rigid obstacle and move on. Here, character switching obstacles are mostly outside of the tutorial levels, kept to the optional exploration paths, and even better, after the obstacles you usually get an action set piece deliberately designed around the character you picked. Past the Tails obstacle and you'll have to shoot blocks with your Tails laser and all that. Past a Knuckles obstacle, you get a digging action piece, etc. So it feels more like a genuine part of the game than just stupid busy work. All characters outside of Amy have skills that actually create a new dynamic in the platform bits. But Amy, yeah, her gameplay is never more interesting than hit thing that has hammer icon on it. Oh well, 4 out of 5 are still interesting, I guess. Bosses are some of the more interesting from the Sonic series in terms of gameplay as well. They use the character abilities very well. Really genuinely feel like exams of your platform skills of each particular character. Level design is alright. It kind of reminds me of Rayman for some reason, 2D Rayman. Probably because of its use of small packets of action. Closed off set pieces tied together with quiet little bits. Not like Mario, where the entire stage is about one gimmick. This one jumps around a lot more and keeps it more varied. There's even hidden mini-stages that push the small set pieces of action idea even further. I like it. Nice balance between concentrated platforming and brainless action. Although it relies a lot on the automatic stuff, where Sonic just pushed forward by speeders and bumpers a lot. Well, I'm not a big fan of these anymore. I wish the modern games relied a lot less on them, especially now boost and parkour are introduced in other games to make those spectacle moments more woven into the actual gameplay a lot more. I can at least say that they felt semi-natural here. It isn't like Sonic Colors or Shattered Crystal where they seem to be tricking you into thinking you're playing an entirely different kind of game than what you really are. No, in Fire and Ice, the core gameplay also has a nice speed and rhythm to it, so it feels reasonably natural here. Like in Sonic 4, so if you hated it in Sonic 4, you'll hate it in here too, but I didn't really mind in either, so. But yeah, I hope future games will rely a lot less on it. Sonic Mania is looking good in that regard at least, so hooray. Other than that, I like that instead of 6 giant levels, there's 20 smaller ones now. Makes more sense on a handheld game. Can't always finish those mega 30-minute long levels in one sitting, so. The game could have used some more levels though, especially since the last world doesn't seem to have any levels, hence my anticlimactic statement before. The game has a nice pace and rhythm to it and then suddenly drops the ball and just jumps straight to the final boss. Since the last island is a mechanical mine installation that's about to collapse and explode, I don't know, it sounds like a fantastic setting for the final levels to me. Really shame they skip it, especially since they have an extra year to work on this game. Now the final stages are the Disney Castle ones. Music is alright, just like Shattered Crystal, there's only a few standout tracks that are really good. In this case the pirate tunes are great, the rest is acceptable. The level graphics start really boring, but it gets more interesting as the game goes along. So sure, you start with a beach jungle, then a jungle, and then a swamp jungle, but then you get a pirate jungle, but then a pirate level, so yay! Also a Disney graveyard castle level. That's different. I also love the look of the giant mechanical train in the desert, though that's sadly not an actual stage, that's just where the online races take place. Speaking of which, I can't help but notice this is yet another game that doesn't have a Eggman Fortress or base or airship at the end. Compared to how often Green Hill Zone levels are shoved down our throats, Eggman bases are really rare these days. Guess that isn't surprising considering what a lame, pathetic, and threatening buffoon he is these days. But yeah, the level artwork. They start really bland, but gets more interesting as the game goes on. In particular, the mini-level challenge sections have great design and are a bit more atmospheric and have great comedic touches. I love the mermaid skeleton in the background or the creepy Eggman tiki statues. So, that's gameplay and art and stuff. Now what you're all waiting for, story. As I said, easily my favorite of the Pontiff games, has the most flow, the best understanding of the characters, the least wasted ideas. Mostly because there's no real cool ideas in the story to begin with, but still, wasted ideas make me sad, so I rather have no good ideas at all. So one of the biggest problems I always had with their stories is that often their stories evaporate and collapse. Things are set up but don't go anywhere. Oh no, Yakker's missing! Oh, there he is. Eggman is angry at Zeddy and never meets him again. Tails is a robot! Whatever. However, this game finally got it straight. Things that are set up this time actually do usually have a OW!
Hi, just teasing you.
What? Plastic knife? Right. Well, things that are set up do have a payoff this time, is what I'm trying to say. So now it feels more natural. In fact, it feels a lot like a regular Sonic Boom TV episode, and particularly the one where Styx adopts a robot pet, except one with a more natural ending and the characters closer to their official descriptions. So speaking of which, the characters this time, what are they like? Because it's always a frigging spin of the wheel, what personality and attitude the characters have at any given story. Sonic's alright, he's the same as before in Pontiff games, but more focused, so he still jokes, but is a bit more on the ball. Knuckles, big improvement. He's never outright stupid here, and his eccentric, well, nature part is actually represented more properly, so that's great. Still doesn't really get to show off his supposed power, though I guess he gets a cool animation where he finishes off a boss, so that's something. Styx is also way closer to where I like to see her, less screaming random words and more operating on jungle logic. I particularly like this little joke.
This is easily the biggest fissure yet. Maybe it's the leader. Why are you doing this?
See, that's more of the type of humor I like to see with her. Misunderstanding things because of faulty jungle logic, more so than just random crazy. Orbot and Cubot are more the obedient and tortured souls they were in a TV show than the hostile bullies they were in the Pontiff game, so that's a plus. Amy, I'll get to her during the bingo part. I like how she's here though, so I'll say that. Tails, still don't like the Pontiff version of him, though with Sonic being less of a bro, Tails gets less opportunity to brag and be smug, so as a result he's also toned down, so that's good. Dr. Eggman, well, At least I could say they really embrace his bromance with Sonic and complete lack of menace he has these days. Although he actually does have one cool moment in the game that I liked.
We'll save you, Sonic!
No!
See, this is the kind of stuff I love to see. Characters doing something. They're not just standing around making stupid jokes when Sonic's kidnapped. They try and get him, and Dr. Eggman, realizing he's losing, goes trolling them instead. Great! Everyone gets a nice little moment. I also prefer that Eggman and Sonic's confrontation goes off the rails because of a technical issue, a lot more than when the characters themselves don't give a shit about what's going on. I didn't find the joke funny per se, because Sonic and Eggman's relation doesn't have any bite or energy to it anymore, so there's no comedic contrast or distortion. But I vastly prefer this over their usual detached and self-defeating banter, so... But yeah, most of the humor is still the, oh my god, characters say something I relate to humor. Eggman talks internet speech, lol. Sonic refers to Mushroom Hill Zone. Yeah, that's 4 games too late, buddy. Sonic Generations was the place for this kind of joke. Legacy Sonic stuff's not supposed to exist in the Sonic Boom universe. Not that any of the writers seem to care. Anyway, as for the story itself, you know how trailers tend to spoil a lot. Well, Fahrenheit never had a plot-heavy trailer, but very early on in production, I remember promotional material saying that the story is that Defect will betray Eggman and Sonic has to save him from that. Yeah, if you're like me and expect the story beat to happen somewhere around the halfway mark of the game, no. This happens literally a minute before the final boss. For most of the story, it's really just about stopping Fissures and stopping Defect, while Eggman occasionally trolls the gang to raise a robot. It's kind of weird that a simple story like this has way better structure and build-up than Shattered Crystal had, considering that game had way more plot-heavy elements in them. To be fair, Fire Knight also tries to establish some consequences, though don't expect anything dramatic or exciting to come from that here either. For the most part, it's a very solid attempt to emulate the TV show, except with better grasp on the characters than the show ever had. And while none of the TV show's villagers ever show up, Pontiff do put in more effort to make it feel closer to the TV show than the previous games. Eggman having a silly plot, check. Sonic falling asleep, check. New villain who's mostly misunderstood, weak and pathetic, check. Eggman having such a strong bromance with the main gang that I have no idea why he even bothers being a villain, check. Fahrenheit is only one scene with the gang devouring hot dogs at Mad Burger away of being every Sonic Boom episode ever. Except with all that pesky video game stuff in it that makes Sonic having to have adventures and taking down giant robots. That tragically disrupts the show's Seinfeld-esque marathon of nothingness. But okay, enough reviewing. If you like a simple, easy, no-nonsense platform-heavy Sonic game, this is pretty good. If you like challenge or are starving for a big, high-adventure action game, this won't give you any of that. As far as I'm concerned, it's innocent fun, and I'm happy to put it among the other handheld games. Unlike Shattered Crystals, story is a bit better than a Boom TV show episode. Game is a mellow Sonic Cross adventure combined with an easy Rayman Origins kind of. That's about it. Now, let's see how badly I did with the prediction bingo. My predictions a year ago. Number 1, dramatic reveal of brain control device will have little impact on the finale. No, not really. Defect takes control of bigger robots or uses their parts. I don't know, that could vaguely count as brain control, but nah. Really, I made this prediction because I expected Defect to have an actual evil plot, and his betrayal to come up way earlier in the game. Since Defect doesn't really have an evil plot and only goes crazy at the end, I never stood a chance here, so I overshot my prediction. Number 2, Amy will be either a soccer mom parody or a female Sonic impersonality. Yes and no. Amy, your pinball personality. Ever since Sega wanted to get rid of her hyper fangirl personality, they never knew what to do with her, and in each Pontiff game she appears, she's entirely different. Generation still had her fangirl attitude since it was a callback to the past. Lost World, she was mostly a helpless damsel. Then in Shattered Crystals, they suddenly wanted to overcompensate her uselessness by making her act super tough, which, as far as I'm concerned, completely backfired and just made her look like Johnny Bravo.
With the fate of the world in the balance. You know, the usual.
Don't you worry, baby cakes. I'll handle this one.
Yeah, only make them talk tough when they actually do something cool, or they will look like a moron. Ask Knuckles. So anyway, then we get to Boom, Fire and Ice, and she acts a bit different again, although you could say it's still her Shattered Crystal personality, except more toned down since she's no longer in danger anymore, and is therefore a little bit more relaxed about her attitude. So, new personality or the same personality but under completely different circumstances, depends. But anyway, she doesn't really do much to really show what her personality is. Most of the time she's just Sonic's buddy. In fact, she's acting a lot like I wish Tails would act. But yeah, so she does act like Sonic's female part in the game, although not in the way that I expected when I made a prediction. She acts like a Sonic that I wish Sonic acted like instead of what he was back then. So I overshot the prediction, she's more laid back. Third, characters from the TV show with light satirical tones will be explained in detail by Sonic and Tails. Wrong, absolutely wrong, mostly because none of the TV show exclusives ever show up here. I saw the Feel Guilty asshole in the original trailer, but I didn't recognize that shot from the show. It never actually happens in the game. So, while I wasn't technically wrong with my predictions, since we never actually saw the villagers how they would have been in-game, I overshot that prediction. There's no villagers. 4. Forced character development that only exists in a single cutscene. Probably Tails, not going to be Amy or Defect. Wrong. Tails got nothing. Amy also got nothing. Defect, his development was slower than I thought, but he got some. But it's mostly Styx that's the developed character. But I'll get back to that in a later prediction. Anyway, got it wrong. There's no over or undershooting involved, so it's a draw. 5. Metal Sonic and Shadow are secrets but won't be in the story. Yes and no. They're definitely not in the story, far as I know at this point. They don't appear as secret racers either, though I haven't gotten a 100% of the game yet, and GameFAQs is still empty at this point I'm making this video. However, they do sell the game special edition by dangling Metal Sonic and Shadow in front of you, and that was really the nature of my prediction, that they'll lure people into the game with Metal and Shadow, but won't properly use them. So I got that prediction right. 6. A defect pun. No, they never make a joke about it. We do get the explanation why he's called it, and they do make some jokes about alternative insult names instead, so I'm wrong there. I undershot it since the jokes were a lot more varied. 7. The big finale will feel unearned, no exciting build-up. Big finale, no anticlimax. As I said before, I expected Defect to turn evil quicker, but that said, the finale this game has does feel earned and comes natural, so I lose. Guess that's an overshot. 8. The finale is just a gang being jerks and a villain not leaving any impression at all. I got that wrong. Going back to Styx. When she's introduced, they make a joke that she doesn't want to attack Defects because she thinks it's cute. At that point, I was fully expecting that to only exist in that one cutscene and Pond have to be happily contradicting it later when they have Styx attacking Defect with no hesitation later on anyway. But no, they stick to their guns, and Styx's attitude remained a running theme up until the end. And while it's nothing dramatic or special, it does give the ending a bit of a heart. If anything, it's a way better way of telling this kind of story than with the episode with the robot dog the TV show did. The villain does leave an impression, if only as abused, misunderstood, poor, sad little robot, so he fits right alongside all the other Sonic Boom's pathetic, ineffectual, tragic, laughable villains, with only Lyric and a computer guy being the sore thumbs. So, I undershot. They were better than I expected. 9. The rival robots only exist so Sonic can interrupt his quest to insult them, shove their heads in the toilet, and steal their lunch money. No, they're played surprisingly straight, and Sonic's impressed by them, so I got that wrong. While the boss robots, the rival racers, never really show up in any cutscenes. Undershot, it's way better than I expected. 10. Out of place, dark cynical humor and otherwise supposed comical farce. No, I don't recall dark cynical humor. Undershot, the story's better balanced than I thought. 11. Something with a dramatic reveal will go nowhere. No! Everything that's built up has some sort of payoff for once. The weakest aspect is something they recycled from Sonic Lost World. In Lost World, Dr. Eggman is mining energy fluids so he can make his robots more powerful, which never really goes anywhere, and outside of a few bigger robots appearing in the levels with little to no dramatic oomph, there's never a payoff to this, and even the final boss is just a run-of-the-mill dime-a-dozen generic robot. And then in Fire and Ice, Eggman's once again mining for material to make his robots more powerful, and once again, all his robots are still as weak as ever, although at least the bosses are a bit more spectacular, and Defect does do some neat things at the end that catches the cast off guard, so while it never has the big dramatic payoff I wish it had, at least it has some representation of the robots becoming more powerful here, more so than Lost World did. No, the only thing that really never goes anywhere is that Eggman mentions the mine he builds is about to collapse and explodes, but that never does. And he just weakly says all the arachnium is useless now for no reason. It's the only thing that falls flat. Everything else fits fine. So I lose. As I said before, this story has a very decent flow to it. Of course, the one story where everything has a satisfying payoff is the one where barely anything happens in to begin with. But anyway, Undershot better written than I thought. Then finally 12. The magical fire and ice powers they build in the game will have no explanation, which, you know, well, they explain it more than the Wisps in Lost World. The new powers are quickly mentioned in the story, that the Fishers did something magical, weird and random. If anything, if you were going to explain those powers away in one sentence anyway, I wonder why they didn't just say Tails made an invention that gave them those powers. That would immediately work, and that could be explained in one sentence. Magical Fishers is a bit clunky. But yeah, the powers are there, certainly, and I suppose now the Fishers are closed at the end of the game. The powers are gone, even though they don't spell that out. So, yeah, I lose. And their shots, they explain more than I thought. So, final score, that's correct predictions. 1, overshot 5, undershot 6. Conclusion, I got almost nothing predicted correctly. I overshot my predictions a lot because I was expecting bigger plot elements than the final result really had. But I mostly undershot my predictions because the smaller story was more solid and better told than Ponta's work before, so that means I have to make a nice celebration parody. That was my punishment if I undershot my predictions. Next parody, I gotta be nice. Oh. Now the problem with this bingo contest is that I made this last year before the game was delayed, and since then I have been making a lot of Sonic cartoons already, and I'm getting a little itchy to go make something else, so I'm not really happy about it now. Oh well, deal's a deal. Another optimistic Sonic spoof is coming in the future then. And I'll give you, the audience, a choice what the subject will be. You can choose between 1, I'm gonna redo the Sonic Colors and Minutes parody. I really hate that parody. I really made that really fast in a week, mostly to accompany a different one. Yeah, so option 1, I remake Sonic Colors and Minutes. And while mocking it a little, I'll mostly play nice or even make it look better than it was, like I did with Sonic Adventure in 2 Million Minutes. Option 2, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice in Minutes. Although honestly at this point I have absolutely no inspiration. The story's not weird or dumb or cool or potentially insane enough. It's just a straightforward story, so if people want it I could give it some thought, but now I got nothing. But I suppose adding this to the options is only fair. Option 3, another Sonic Boom episode Roger-ified. Options within that option are either Eggheads, the episode where Eggman turns the gang into his evil minions, that or the Meteor where Eggman and Sonic switch minds, or third episode you can choose the one-armed hedgehog, the one where Sonic's framed for a crime Metal Sonic committed and has to fight him, another wasted opportunity episode. So that's the options you got, or you can ask me for a different one I guess, but don't bother asking for Sonic Mania Project 2017 because I got no material to work with yet. Don't worry, as soon as those games are released I'll give them a look. And even said people really want a Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric parody or a new Sonic Movie Madness kind of thing instead. That's really ambitious and huge, so it depends on how popular those options are. So yeah, vote away! See you next time. Bye-bye.